I'd like to thank everybody coming to the Town of Rutland Annual Town Meeting. It's nice to see the hall so full tonight. I think it's great to see everyone here. At this time, I will ask Anita to read the warrant, please. You can just, you gotta wait for this down over there, so she's gonna talk.
To honor the constables of the town of Rutland and the county of Worcester, in the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town, qualified to vote in elections and in town affairs, to meet at the Glenwood Elementary School Gymnasium, 65 Glenwood Road, Rutland, Mass. in said Rutland on Saturday, the 9th day of May, 2026, at 6 o'clock in the evening, then and there to act on the following articles.
Thank you, Anita. At this time, I would ask everyone to stand. We're going to have the national anthem by Lillian Howard, please.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good job, good job. All right, come on, touch the flag. Keep standing, we gotta salute the flag.
Randy, pledge allegiance.
Yes.
See, if everybody would stand up, I didn't tell you to sit down. When I tell you to sit down, I rap the gavel. So we're going to do the pledge to the flag at this time, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There we go. Now we can sit down. So at this time, I would like to introduce everybody up here at the head table, being our annual town meeting. To my right is the assistant town clerk, Benjamin Barakian, that runs the computer and all our tallying numbers. If we have a problem, we speak to him. Over to the far right is the finance committee members. Sitting at the first side is Darren Ross, who is the chairman of the board. Ludwig Haber is beside Darren. Beside him is Tommy Richarler. Beside Tommy is Lynn Winokur. Beside her, I'm going to get this one wrong too, is I'd say Carol Willie, but it's Carol Benoit, I believe, correct? So we're doing good. Beside her is our retiring finance board member, Karen Norwell. And bringing up the far end of the table is Hot Wheels Ted Purcell. Over here to my left is Anita Carlson, who is the town clerk and keeper of the records. Beside her is our legal top gun, Roger. Oh yeah, Roger. Okay, we're gonna go with Roger. Beside Roger is our town administrator, Heather Butler. There we go. Beside Heather as chairman of the Board of Selectmen is Jen Ledger. Beside Jen is Paul Madsen. Beside Paul is Lear Whiteman. Beside Lear is Harry Seckman. And beside Harry is Alex Moak. Right?
Woo! Very good.
All right. And I'm your town moderator, Randy Jordan. My assistant town moderator is Scott Davis. If I have to step down or pass out or we need a second room, Scott will cover us there. I'd like to do, everybody's got clickers. We're very fortunate that we're some of the few towns and we allow other towns to borrow our clickers. I'd like to run a couple test questions for us as people come in here at the end. So, let's see, I like to come up with the questions here. We usually talk about sports or something like that, but if you're in favor of getting out of here before 9 p.m. tonight, hit the green button. If you're against getting out of here before 9, hit the red button and then go home. So the ballot box is open. They're all on. You just have to hit the green for yes, the red for no, and nothing else.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Right.
Oh, your choice, and now you got to hit the arrow button above it? That's new to me this year. So the red or the green, and then the arrow button above it. So you should have an OK appearing in your window. So I'll usually give you a few minutes to vote, and then I'll ask if everybody's voted who wish, and if the numbers are still going up, I will wait. If the numbers have stopped moving, then we go from there.
I'm gonna write.
Anita's going to go ask how many people have actually physically checked in, so we know if the total number is relatively close to what's here, and that kind of tells us whether everybody's is working. You don't have to vote. And if you abstain, people sometimes have hit the yellow button in the past, but typically we don't use the yellow button. All those valid who wish, I declare the ballot box closed. So there are 323 yeses, there are 21 noes. Well, I appreciate the yeses because that's my prediction to be out of here.
There's only 300 people there.
345 people on the clicker that chose to vote. So the second question is, have we had enough rain? If so, hit the green button. If you think we need more rain, hit the red button, please. And then the arrow button, please. Which that is new
Yes, it is.
this year.
You got to push it a couple times to get rid of that okay rule.
An old guy like me has trouble thinking about all this.
Two things.
An old man.
Not that old.
It's going to be,
Yes, and the arrow, is that what you said?
84.
Everybody ballot who wish. I declare the ballot box closed. So there are 158 that think we've had enough rain, not snow, and 190 said we haven't. I believe legally we are still in drought factors, but a farmer that's trying to plant corn doesn't like rain, so wait until the corn's in first. And as long as Anita comes in and tells her we're under 400, then I'll be happy. I think she was coming back. If not, I'm going to ask Scott Davis, my assistant moderator, to come up and give me an invocation for tonight, please.
Don't we have to stand?
Let us pause in today's occupation and take a moment to think about why we're here. Heavenly Father, we're here to thank you for the community in which we live, and the spirit in this community, the spirit that leads us forward so much. We're happy to have a town that has the resources and the people and the community that are here. and it's a great feeling. We're thankful too for the officers and the members of this town's administration that take pride in their work and do the best they can for us. We're here tonight to do the best we can with the issues that are before us. Let us be quiet, peaceful citizens, doing our best, working in community, and sharing our thoughts as we can. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Folks, we're going to do one more test because some people did exchange theirs. So remember, the green button is the yes, the red button is no, and then you have to hit the arrow above it, and it should say OK on it on top of the screen. We're relatively close, but we just want to confirm. Are we set for more testing? I'm sure everyone has remembered it's Mother's Day tomorrow and hope everybody's doing something nice for their mothers. If you're doing something nice, please use the green button. If you don't have a mother to spend with and not doing anything nice, you can come over and spend with my mother and you can use the red
I'll
button.
help you. I'll help you. We need it. You've never seen me crumble like this, have you? Okay. I'll read our first little statement and I'll turn it over to you. Perfect.
My mother was around in St. John's on the 3rd floor. Mary and I would be buried on the other side of the main door on the 8th floor. Or whatever, right near the top. Because I feel the reason I know
Is everybody valid who wish? I declare the ballot box closed. 250 yeses, 91's going to hang out with my mother by the looks, or no's, and 6 abstain. All right, folks, we're going to get started then. All right, we're going to start with article number 1. So, I believe we're going to have something on the computer screen. And I'm going to read the articles, and then we're going to have motions and go from there. If you folks choose to speak about any article, you're going to come to the podium. You're not going to swear at me. And you're going to give your name and address every time you come up, Mr. Canacchioli.
Yes, sir.
And then you're going to address me, and I'll direct the questions either direction and go from there. And if you come up, as soon as you want to do it, to kind of keep things moving along and go from there. We do have town council here to help us through the process. Article 1, to hear the annual report of the town offices and committees or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 1 as printed in the warrant.
Does this motion receive support? The motion is made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 1.
You can't hear you. You gotta tell the gentleman over there who's gonna talk before you talk, please, so you can turn your volume up. Please say again, Tommy.
The Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 1.
So Tommy says favorable, finance is favorable. Is there any discussion on this article? Is my mic off?
We're gonna make a motion.
It's on now.
We're gonna make a motion, right?
They've already made a motion, Darren, over here.
I move, okay.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? All those in favor, use your green button. All opposed, use your red buttons.
Yeah, I'm just nervous, I'm sorry. I got you. I understand. Sure. I never crumble. I've crumbled. You guys call that
the town meeting. Can't talk. Is everything all right?
Oh, cool.
All those voted who wish,
I'm at the town meeting.
declare the ballot box closed. 335 yeses, 12 noes, 4 abstained. Motion carries. Moving on to Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available water and sewer retained earnings for the FY 2026 to the fund emergency repairs on 2 sewer pump stations or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 2 as printed in the warrant with the sum of $38,250 to be transferred from available water and sewer retained earnings for fiscal year 2026.
Does this motion receives
Second,
a second over there? Recommendation of the finance, please.
Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 2.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor use your green buttons. All those opposed use your red buttons, please. And hit the arrow. I'm not going to remember to tell you to hit the arrow all
I don't have
night
to hit
long.
the arrow.
You got to remember that, please.
I don't think we have to hit the arrow all the time.
I think I've gotten the okay without zero, but I'm hitting it anyway.
All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 325 yeses, 26 noes, motion carries. Moving on to Article 3, to see if the town will vote to set the salaries or compensation of the elected town officers for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 in a sum set forth below totaling $96,168.28 in ordinance with Chapter 41, Section 108 of the general law as amended, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 3 as printed in the warrant.
Motion receives support.
Second,
Motion receives support. Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 3.
Is there any discussion on this article? Just say Michelle twice, please.
Three Lord Lane. Mr. Moderator, I move to amend warrant Article 3. The new warrant article would read, to see if the town will vote to set the salaries or compensation of elected town officers for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, in such sums set forth below totaling $88,343 in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 108 of the general laws as amended. Moderator, 0. Select Board, 0. Town Clerk, $88,343. Board of Assessors, 0. Board of Health, 0. Planning Board, 0.
A motion has been made and seconded. This is an amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Is there any?
Could you explain where you're cutting it from and why?
For the finance committee. Through the chair.
I'm sorry?
Could you explain why you were making this motion, where you're cutting it from, and why?
Absolutely.
Through the chair.
Through the chair. The town is facing a serious financial crisis. At the 2025 town meeting, we did not authorize stipends for the elected boards. And again, in the fall special town meeting, we did not authorize those stipends again. We did not authorize. So right now in 2026, we're asking the town to put $7,825 back into the budget. And in 5 minutes, we're going to take a vote on this floor to ask everyone on this floor to fund an override. Using the town's own dollars, you're asking everyone on this floor to essentially increase your taxes by about $900 a year. And
at this point, we're going to sit here and hand over $7,000. That essentially will pay some people's override. And if you're saying that the budget has been cut everywhere that's possible to be cut, it hasn't been. So I'm saying everybody that serves on a board or commission does wonderful work, everybody. But we can't say we've cut the budget as far as we can cut if we're adding back almost $8,000 right at this vote. And I don't think it's fair that we're setting the town clerk's salary and having it tied to stipends for people who are volunteers.
Is there any other discussion?
Hello? You hear me? Alex Moss, Brindle Drive. Whether you support the upcoming override or not, if you do not support it, this is a great place to cut. I'm an elected official. I would love your money, but this is not the right thing. Tell us that we're doing a good job. Tell me I'm doing a poor job. Just thank me for doing it if that's your opinion. But this is a great place to start cutting. It might be peanuts compared to the entire rest of the budget. But whether you're for or against the override, this makes sense to cut these stipends minus, of course, the town clerk. Thank you.
Louis J. Carnicchioli, 18 Blueberry Lane. I'm opposed to cutting the salaries of elected officials. I think it sends a very, very poor message. These folks, having served on a number of these boards in my career here in Rutland, I know the kind of work people put in. We're talking chunk change, okay? Is it symbolic? I don't think it's that symbolic that we need to do that. So I would be opposed to cutting these salaries. And I hope that you would vote down the motion made and that we continue to pay these people for the work they put in. Having served on a number of boards during my, how many years now, 55 years living here in this wonderful town, I know that we put in more time than the actual salary. I served 9 years as a selectman. We put in many, many more hours than the kind of money that we made as selectmen. And so the stipend is symbolic. And I think it's a negative symbol that we say to you folks, well, thank you for your work, but we're not going to pay you this year. I would hope you would say no to this. Thank you, Bert.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion on the amendment? So we're going to vote now. We're only voting on the amendment, what this young lady just stated. We're going to vote on that first, and then after we vote on that, we can discuss on the whole article together and do a vote.
A yes vote means we don't want to pay. A no vote means we do want to pay. It's just the opposite.
So she made an amendment, right, to cut the salaries, correct? So the moderator's not going to get anything instead of the $75. I remembered that, right? But at the end of the day, if you vote in favor of her amendment, I don't get paid. If you vote no, then it stays the way it was.
And then we got to vote on that.
Anita still gets the same. I don't think she'd go to zero. That'd be a problem. Okay, so does everybody understand what they're voting on now? Green button, you're supporting the young lady that made the amendment. A no stays the way it was. All those in favor, use the green button. All those opposed, use the red button and the arrow afterwards, please. I need the amendment with her. All those voted who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. 169 yeses, 192 no. Motion is defeated. We are going on to the, is there any discussion on the article as it was read? Is there any discussion on the article? Is there any discussion on the article? We're going to vote on the article as it was read. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons. Push the arrow, please.
Weird.
I pressed the green.
Yeah, it's weird.
All those voting who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 241 yeses, 120 noes. Moving on to Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $11,675,498.43 to defray the expenses of the municipal department for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, provided, however, that the total amount appropriated here under the appropriation of $3 million shall be expressly contingent upon the message by the voters at the election of the Prop 2.5 so-called override question following the town to raise by taxation a sum of money in excess of the limit established by Prop 2.5 pursuit of MGL Section 59, subsection 21C, G, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise by taxation and appropriate the sum of $10,047,102 to fund the fiscal year 2027 balanced budget as shown in the fiscal year 2027 balance final column. On the budget page of the 2026 annual town meeting booklet, excluding the line items community television and education lines 300 through 399, and raised by taxation and appropriate the additional sum of $1,778,421 to fully fund the fiscal year 2027 level services budget as shown in the fiscal year 2027 level services final column on the budget page of the 2026 annual town meeting booklet, excluding line items community television and education lines 300 through 399, provided, however, that the vote to fund such additional sum shall be expressly contingent upon passage by the voters at an election of a Proposition 2.5 override, so-called override question, pursuant to Mass General Law 5921C and further, to appropriate and transfer from free cash the sum of $660,058 as a funding source for the fiscal year 2027 balanced budget, with such sum being used only if the override is not approved by the voters of the vote of the town on September 15th, 2026, by September 15th, 2026, and if the override passes, such sums shall be used for any purpose without further action by the town meeting.
Darren, you forgot the word not, shall not be used.
Such sum shall not be used for any purpose.
Correct?
Which,
The last sentence. Such sum shall not.
okay, let me go back a step, sorry. And if the override passes, such sum shall not be used for any purpose without further action by the town meeting.
Does this motion receive support?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee votes favorable action on this article.
Is there any discussion on this article? I would assume yes. Just to clarify, if someone chooses to move the question, you have to be in line and you have to be there in order. I'm not going to take moving the question from the floor as it coming out. To move the question would end debate. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to take it from the audience. You have to be in line if you choose to move the question.
Hello.
State your name, address, please.
Hello, Trustee Santillo, 124 Charnock Hill Road. I have two things to say. Number one, for the point of clarification for everyone before the debate gets going, what happens if to the ballot, what happens if the override passes tonight? What happens if it fails? What needs to happen on the ballot? So, if the override fails, does it fail on the ballot automatically? So this has to go to the ballot either way.
Yes.
Talk on your mic, please, Heather, so everybody can hear you.
The two votes are very much separate, so we'll vote tonight to either support or not support the override. The ballot question is still a valid question on Monday. Should you support the override, we urge you to vote yes on Monday for the multi-year override. If it fails tonight, but passes by some odd twist of events, that would be up to the select board to determine whether or not we would come back to a special town meeting to make an appropriation to meet that ballot question. So the override ballot allows the town to raise taxes over and above the 2.5%. What you're doing tonight is appropriating what those expenses are. Does that make sense?
It does to me. Does it make sense to everyone else? Just checking, checking.
Yeah, so the budget tonight, you're appropriating what we would spend the money on. And you have that in the town meeting packet. And then the ballot on Monday is the authorization that allows the town to raise that money through taxation to meet the budget appropriations that you're making tonight.
So regardless of today's outcome on this question is going to the ballot, and the ballot is the final outcome.
Yeah. The ballots are already printed, they're already ready to go. Some have even come in and already had early voting. The ballot question is still very valid and still important.
Okay, thank you. Second point, this is to start off the debate. I would just like to ask everyone to consider what is their view of community? What does community mean to them, especially as we all live in this community? That's it. Thank you.
Elizabeth DePusi, 49 Sassawan Road. I just have a couple of things I'd like to say as well. As a resident, I listened to Dr. Riley outline the budget issues facing the Wachusett School District, which were fixed cost, utilities, labor contracts, healthcare inflation, and inadequate state funding. These are real challenges, but the town is facing all of these exact same things. The cost of living has gone up for all of us, for the residents, for the school district, and also for the town. 62% of the overall town budget goes to the school district, and only 38% funds town services. Yet town services are provided to 100% of residents, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Meanwhile, the school district serves approximately 16% of the town's population, 185 school days per year. At the same time, the overall school population has decreased while the town continues to grow. Public safety demand alone has increased 10 to 15% each year. In this past fall, additional roads were added that the DPW now has to maintain. I want to be very clear. This is not about being anti-school. I support the school. I have 2 kids that go to 2 different schools in the district. However, if we're going to have an honest discussion about budget, we need to look at the full picture. I grew up in Rutland and chose to raise my children here because it's a beautiful and safe community. But it's not going to be the same Rutland if we lose 7 police officers, 5 firefighters, and 4 DPW employees. Do I want my taxes to go up? No. But do I want to live in a town that can't maintain basic necessities? Also no. The override is not a permanent fix, but what it does specifically, if the 3-year override passes, is it gives the town the opportunity to get out of survival mode and to work toward a long-term solution.
Good evening, my name is Jessica Hoy Flaherty. I am a resident of Rutland. My address is 408 East County Road. I'm speaking tonight as a resident of Rutland as well as a member of the Council on Aging Board here in town. And I have a motion to amend Article 4. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend Article 4 to transfer and appropriate the sum of $45,463 from free cash to fund the Council on Aging at the amount of $123,443 as shown in the fiscal year 27 level services final column on the budget page of the 2026 annual town meeting booklet for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2026, which such sum to be used only if the override is not approved by the voters of the town by September 15th, 2026. And if the override passes, such sum shall not be used for any purpose without further action by the town meeting.
Does this amendment receive support? I need to second a motion before we can have any discussion. So a motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment that this young lady just read? Is there any discussion on this amendment? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will now vote on the amendment of what she just read. If you're in favor of the amendment, use your green button. If you're opposed, use your red button and the arrow thereafter, please. All those voted who wish? Declare the ballot box closed. The amendment fails. 149 yes, 203 noes. Is there any discussion on the article?
Ruth Ann Revesi, 23 Maple Spring Drive. I'm here in my capacity as a trustee of the public library. Without the override to increase funds for town services, the library will be reducing the number of staff, the hours of operation, the number of programs offered, and availability of meeting space. Without additional funds, the library budget is less than 1% of the town's total budget and will not meet the requirements for certification by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. Loss of certification will result in no reciprocal privileges, which allows our patrons to borrow materials from libraries across the state, no access to the Libby e-book collection, and loss of state aid, which is typically $20,000 to $30,000 added into our budget. The library provides services for all ages and hosts over 400 meetings in the last year, and I ask that our community financially support the vital services it provides.
Corinne Pugliafico, 11B Sunnyside Ave. First of all, I know no one wants to see our taxes go up. I fall into the senior citizen on a fixed income category, and I don't want to see it. But I'm also realistic as to what we as a town, and me personally, can live without. The average valuation in town is $477,000. If you break that down into monthly payments for the additional taxes, if Proposition 2.5 passes, it comes to $8 a week for FY27, $28 a week for FY28, and $30 a week for FY29. I can find something that I ordinarily buy or spend money on
that I can afford to give up that would equal those amounts. What I can't afford to give up is the fire department showing up at my house if it's on fire, or the ambulance answering my call if my grandson is choking or I'm having a heart attack, or the police coming if I feel threatened or in danger. I checked with my insurance company, and they couldn't give me an amount that my insurance would go up, although they said if we lost personnel, the risk assessment would increase and my rate and my deductible would probably go from $1,000 a year to $2,600 a year. The mutual aid system that Rutland and the surrounding towns have, towns have that help each other when there are big emergencies, will surely suffer too. Paxton already has turned down Proposition 2.5 and will probably be cutting personnel. If they or we don't have enough people to cover our own towns, they're not going to be able to help other towns when needed. We also share equipment, which means that if we need a piece of equipment that we don't have, maybe Paxton or Holden does have it in case of an emergency. The same situations apply to the ambulance service. If 2.5 doesn't pass, if you call with a medical emergency, you better hope you're first in line. These same scenarios apply to the Public Works Department. It will take a lot longer for roads to get plowed and sanded, perhaps school delays or cancellations. These are just the public safety concerns. The library cuts would be severe if we could keep a library at all, and the day-to-day running of the town clerk's office would be catastrophic. You may think we can't afford to pass Proposition 2.5, but really, can we afford not to pass it? I don't think so. Thank you.
Good job.
I'll take your paperwork. Go ahead. Can you name and address, please?
I'm Linda Tokars, and I live at 32 Birchwood Road, and I've been in this town for 30 years, and I've watched a lot of things go on. And one thing that does not ever happen at any of these votes is that school budget get cut, and it needs to. If you cut the school budget, we wouldn't have to worry about the DPW, the fire department, the police department. But as I was told by the town administrator, that will probably never happen. However, the school budget is full of expenditures that do not have to happen anymore in this day and age. And since 2000, we have dropped tremendously with the amount of children that go to that school. And I just think that at this point, volunteers would go back to the senior center and help. Volunteers would help in the library as well. But that school budget is our problem, not our DPW, not our fire department, not our police department.
Jean Sigliano, 27 Susie Drive. I just didn't understand what he was proposing because it's not in here. So can you just explain what you were reading? It's not what Article 4 says. Are we voting on Article 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
I read the motion, excuse me, I read the motion that funds what you have for a final number on Article 4 on your paperwork. I read the motion where that funding will come from.
It's not written.
No. Do it on the mic. Here, please.
To try and, to try and make that a little bit clearer, what this motion does is fund it for the case that the override passes and for the case that the override doesn't pass. And so it funds two different budgets based on what actually ends up happening at the ballot on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we are going to vote on the article as read by Mr. Ross. All those in favor? use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons, and place your arrow over the top.
That's what they said, but I agree with what you heard. So, sorry. Okay.
All those voting who wish. Go to the ballot box closed. Motion carries 243 yeses, 135 noes. Motion carries. Moving on to Article 5. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money not to exceed $360,000, 142, for the General Stabilization Fund to fund unemployment and other personnel benefits for the employees subject to layoff as a result of the budgetary cuts or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $360,000, 142, from the General Stabilization Fund to fund unemployment and other personnel benefits for employees subject to layoff as a result of budgetary cuts, provided, however, that the Proposition 2.5 so-called override to fully fund the fiscal year 2027 municipal budget is approved by the voters of the town by September 15th. Such sum shall not be expended for any purpose without further action by the town meeting.
Does this motion have a second?
Second.
Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 5.
Is there any discussion on this article?
Yes. John O'Kicki, 17 Crowdy Lane. A question to the moderator, to Mr. Ross. September. What do I keep hearing September? And why?
Right.
I think, well, maybe Heather can answer also. Yeah, go ahead.
Roger can answer.
Go ahead.
Roger, go ahead, please.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, September 15th is the date on the calendar by which the town has to make its submissions to the Department of Revenue for tax rate certification. So that's why all of these override. The last date that an override vote at the ballot can be approved after annual town meeting is September 15th of that calendar year.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor use your green buttons, all those opposed use your red buttons, and then the arrow at top. And this is 2/3 vote.
I think it's good when it says okay. I don't know.
It says okay. Do a calculation to see if it's two-thirds.
All those voting who wish. Declare the ballot box closed. 281 yeses, 83 noes, passes more than 2/3. Article 5 carries. Moving on to Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $1,044,599 to defray the expenses of the Southern Worcester County Regional Vocational School Assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, as set forth, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 6 as printed in the warrant with the sum of $1,044,599 to be raised by taxation.
Does this motion receive support?
Second.
Motion Recommendation of finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 6.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Seeing none, all those in favor use your green buttons. All those opposed use your red buttons. And the arrow, please. All those voted which? Declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 267 yeses, 92 noes. Moving on to Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $18,808,703 to defray the expense of the Wachusett Regional School District assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, as set forth, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $723,546 to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School assessment for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2026, set forth as below. And further raise and appropriate the additional sum of $660,058 to the Wachusett School District discretionary assessment line, provided, however, that the additional sum appropriated hereunder shall take effect in the event the additional appropriation to fully fund the town budget under Article 4 takes effect. You need to read each one? Yes, please. As follows. Minimum local contribution, $10,102,963. Debt service assessment, $140,464. Transportation assessment, $1,883,865. Discretionary assessment, $5,596,245. $254, sorry. $254.
Second?
Second, Mr. Moderator.
Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 7.
Is there any discussion on this article?
Yeah.
Jack, go ahead.
It's going to get beat up quick. Sorry.
Mr. Moderator, the select board, its recommendation is unfavorable for the recommendation. I move to amend the main motion under Article 7 by substituting the following language in place of the entire pending motion. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $18,383,604 to defray the expenses of the Wachusett Regional School District assessment for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, as set forth below. Minimum local contribution, $10,102,963. Debt service assessment, $140,464. Transportation assessment, $1,883,865. Discretionary assessment, $6,256,312.
Does the amendment receive the support? Second. All right, so we're going to have discussion on the amendment only. If you first two don't, then step to the side for a moment, please.
Sherry Haber, 1 Olivia Lane. According to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, quote, local officials are obligated to place the district's budget as adopted by the Regional School Committee and the member assessments as certified by the district treasurer before town meeting for its consideration and vote. By changing the discretionary number, the Finance Committee did not fulfill that.
there any other discussion on the amendment?
Ludwig Haver, 1 Olivia Lane. Just wanted to explain the intention behind the way that the Finance Committee presented that. We wanted to make the full budget essentially contingent on passing the override. Based on how the ballot question is worded, that was not possible, which is why we got legal advice specifically to make this motion in exactly this manner. So unless we don't want to trust our lawyer, this motion is correct. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion?
John Rotiki, 17 Purdy Lane. Through you, Mr. Moderator, to the motion maker and seconder. What is the, as I heard before Darren say, why are you making this motion? What's the intent of changing these numbers higher?
No, she went back up with the motion. She's right.
The amendment. I'm talking to the amendment.
Correct, you are right.
Thank you.
It was raised.
The select board had discussion, and the select board supported the full Wachusett Regional School District request, which is what the amendment is speaking to. Given the fact that we want to be able to plan going forward what it is. If town meeting fails the full Wachusett request, there's no guarantee that Wachusett will come back with a lower assessment or a significantly lower assessment. We would still be needing to pay that bill when it comes and use free cash. We're asking now to have that knowledge going in, what the total for Wachusett is. I think we have school committee members as well as the staff here. The select board feels that we need to fund everything, including the schools as well as their town services. We don't want to see any of the cuts at all. But that's the amendment is restoring to the full ask from Wachusett.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment?
On the amendment.
Whoa.
Are you on the amendment?
Louis Carniccioli, 18 Blueberry Lane. I've been in this town for over 50 years. I served on the Board of Selectmen. I was a teacher at Wachusett. I thought I knew what was going on at town meetings. I'm so totally confused right now, and I'm still a very cognitive person, even though I'm 83 years old. How old am I? 83, I guess. What in the love of God are we doing? Because we've got remotions, this motion, addendums, re-addendums. Please explain to me in basic English, because I'm not a stupid man and I'm not senile yet, what the hell are we voting on right now? Make it clear.
Please watch your language in my courtroom.
So I'm going to do my best to explain it to Mr. Carniccioli because he was one of my teachers and I don't want him mad at me. Darren Ross, Finance Committee. The Finance Committee took the statement or took the policy that if the override fails, it would be $660,058 that would come out of free cash. And as your checks and balances for this town, the Finance Committee feels that, and we know for a fact, we're going to be in a structural deficit next year of $1.3 to $1.8 million. We're just trying to avoid the problem next year with free cash. We all support the school. We can't afford the free cash. That's the only part of this we disagree with. That's the perfect explanation of why. And I can stay up here and answer any other questions about why, if the moderator allows it. But that's the only reason. Free cash scares the Finance Committee, and it should scare everybody in this room next year that we're going to be $1.3 to $1.8 million out of whack if the override fails a vote on Monday. That's all.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment?
Yes,
Mary Hawkins, 11 Emerald Road. I'm not totally clear whether my question is on the amendment or not. I'm going to ask it, and you can decide.
I'll tell you.
I would like to know what is the E&D account? How much money is currently in this account? How much of those funds are being applied to the current school budget? And can that be factored in before requesting money from the town?
The gentleman that has all the answers right behind you.
Hi, Jim Riley, Superintendent of Wachusett Regional School District. And so our E&D, which is our excess and deficiency, was certified this year, and at that time I think it was $3.592 million. During the budget process, we recommended and school committee approved that $1 million of that amount would be put towards the school budget to decrease assessments for the towns. Right now, approximately $2.5 million remains in E&D. That's about 2%, so we have about a 2% reserve. What's recommended by our auditors is that we maintain a balance of between 3 and 3.5%. We felt it was more important, and school committee agreed, to take some of that money and try to decrease town assessments. This year, you've got an increase of about 24% of revenues coming from the school district to the towns. It's both in insurance, it's in Medicaid reimbursements, and it's in excess and deficiency. So we increased that actually by $500,000 this year.
Sherry Haber, 1 Olivia Lane. I would also like to add that the original motion for a $660,000 decrease took into account more than the discretionary budget increase this year, which was $225,000. So it, in essence, would have made the schools take on the full structural deficit of the town, and not just the decreases that they needed for the budget.
Amendment.
Linda Tokars, Birchwood Road, Rutland. I am still wondering why the school district can't adjust their budget. They have so much riding in travel, administration, expenditures that don't have anything to do with educating the children. I'm not asking you to cut your teachers. I'm asking you to go to the top and find out where all this extra money that the administration spends is going.
This is the most.
Not on the amendment.
We've actually, if you go back and we can post our presentations on the websites, and typically we have them available. When you look at a staffing analysis of Wachusett, we're actually below the state average in every single area. The only area we weren't was in the number of paraprofessionals, but those are also some of the positions that we've eliminated over time. We're below the state average in administration. We're below the state average in teachers. We're below the state average in clerical support. And so we've provided that data, and you can see that the most recent data on the DESE website. Certainly understand the frustration in terms of the amount of the school budget which goes towards our towns. I don't want to misspeak, Mr. Moderator, because I know we're talking about the amendment right now, but happy to speak more about the school budget. The school budget this year is actually a 30% reduction from the typical amount that's asked. We've averaged 4.5% over the last 10 years. This year's request is 3.09%. I'm confident that I think if you did a search of most of the school districts around this area, we are among the very lowest. I've only identified one in central Massachusetts that's lower than the request that we're making tonight. I think the biggest thing we struggle with is the state funding formula. Every year, towns are asked to pay a higher percentage of the school budget, and then also Wachusett is not getting the same amount of many of the other districts. Just an example, we are the 23rd largest district in the state of Massachusetts. We always forget that because our towns themselves are rather small, but together they're quite a large district. Our funding, I believe, out of those 50 largest districts is at the very bottom. That's not the support from our towns. That's what the state tells us we get for funding for each of our students. And so when you start off on that level, it's very hard to provide the education we want for all of our kids without asking more from our towns. And so we feel proud, I'll be honest. I don't expect anybody to do cartwheels that we came in at 3.09%, but it is significantly lower than we have come in before. And I do believe that if you look around at surrounding towns, it's an actual very, very fair number for the services that we're hoping to provide.
On the amendment, please.
Laurie Becker, 18 Crestview Drive. I am in favor of the school budget. I'm not against schools in any way, shape, or form, but I'm also in favor of our town budget. And I agree with the way that FinCom presented it, and I would like to recommend that we vote no on the amendment because I think that this should be hitched to the override, because if we don't have enough money to pay for services in general, I would rather see more money go towards police and DPW and those sorts of things, personally.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? Just to declare, we're going to vote on the amendment. To summarize, if you support the Finance Committee motion made by this table over here, vote no on the amendment. If you support the Select Board motion that was made over here, vote yes on the amendment. Trying to be black and white here, folks. All those in favor of the motion, use your green button. All those opposed, use your red button and the arrow, please.
I have no idea what I'm so totally confused. I never get confused. This is untrue. I don't know where I am.
We're gonna vote on Article 4 right after this.
It's bullshit. It's all Mickey Mouse bullshit. They're all this is crap that try to drive us crazy. Get our minds coming 6 different directions.
All
Why can't
those
we come
voted
up with
wish?
a goddamn thing?
I declare the ballot box closed.
It's a joke.
125 yeses, 225 noes. The amendment is defeated. Moving on to the article without the amendment. Is there any discussion? I would assume yes.
Hi. Trustee Santillo, 124 Charnock Hill Road. So we just heard from the superintendent, yes, about the school funding formula. And I would like to ask, on behalf of the moderator, or through the moderator, whatever, to the select board and also to any school committee members in the room and to the superintendent, we've been hearing a lot about the school funding formula for the past several years, at least as long as I've lived here, and how crappy it is and how it is bankrupting our town, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to know what action has been taken in recent years to get the state to do something about the funding formula. And besides that, what are you going to continue to do or do going forward? Because this is a shitload of money. That's it.
I can speak to that question. Michelle Van Riet, 230 Charnock Hill Road. I'm a retired member of the Wachusett Regional Teachers Association. And I will tell you that we had invited Kim Ferguson and Senator Durant to a meeting a couple years ago and asked the same question, and we've asked it before that. And we always get told the same thing, that we are too small of an area. Inside the 128 belt gets all of the funding, and they basically give up on us. They don't even try because they said they can't get anything passed at the State House to get any of this money from the state that we need. We've been told that multiple times.
I could just,
Let her go first, please, if you don't mind.
Sorry, the past few years, there's been a number of select board members, finance committee members, school committee members, as well as residents that have been doing a lot of advocacy at the state. We've attended a lot of Ways and Means, state Ways and Means hearings, budget hearings at the state level. There's been a lot of advocacy recently to fund the schools, as well as our local aid as well. I just wanted to, but everyone says that they need to hear voters, so from the voters, so we need you also to help us.
Mr. Moderator, just to make a couple points clear, if the override passes on Monday, we are good. What concerned the Finance Committee in the $660,000, if the override fails, we lose 19 employees in this town. And I don't think it's fair to the highway, police, or fire department for $660,000. The school doesn't even take a nip if the override fails. We fully fund the schools, but we lose 19 people. We want this to pass. Get out and vote. But I'm telling you right now, losing 19 people over this is not the way to go, and putting $660,000, 058, on our backs for next year is gonna hurt us. That's all we're trying to say. We're not anti-school or anything else. We just can't afford that much free cash next year. Thank you.
Elizabeth, can we let the superintendent go first, please?
Jim Riley, superintendent. I was just going to talk a little bit about the advocacy piece. And so, yeah, school funding, the formula was built in the 1990s and is extremely frustrating. And I can tell you right now that pretty much no matter how you compare Wachusett to any school or any district, we're getting less through the state. There have been advocacy efforts. I can tell you that we have presented testimony through Mass Superintendents Association, through the Association of Regional Schools, and directly to the state about the impact on Wachusett. We do very much, and I think if people can take their frustrations and have their voices heard to representatives, like I would say that Representative Ferguson and Senator Durant have advocated, but it's hard right now because the voices aren't echoing loud enough to actually make change. What I will tell you is, at this point, 85% of the districts in Massachusetts are in held harmless. And so we're not talking about just a couple of districts, we're talking about 85% at this point. And so I think we are approaching critical mass. I don't know if we're going to see a change though this year. I'm hoping that in the next couple of years we'll do so, but it is going to take people being frustrated and reaching out to our government officials and saying, look, change needs to happen. I think probably the best way I can explain this, and this is based on we build our budget based on the governor's budget, okay? Our increase in state revenues or state funding this year was 0.48%, okay? Less than 0.5%. Now, the latest version of the budget, that would increase, okay? But it's still going to be less than 2%, even if that's the case. And so when you get an increase from the state of less than 0.5%, that's where the challenge is for us. And so it is a real issue. I join people in frustration in terms of how it hasn't been resolved yet, but I would encourage everybody to please reach out and have your voice heard.
Elizabeth DeFosi, 49 Sassawana Road. At the informational session on April 8th, a resident raised a concern if the override fails and the town is forced to lay off what we now know to be 7 police officers, 5 firefighters, medics, and 4 DPW workers. What happens the following year when the school budget comes back and the town once again can't afford it and there's nobody left to cut? The question asked was, at what point does the school district begin to consider layoffs? I don't think that question was asked right. I think the question should be more of what services are they going to consider to cut? The response to that question, however, is that there would not be a recommendation to cut school staff, which again I agree with. It would ultimately be up to the individual towns to approve the budget. So at the end of the day, it is up to us, but I do think the school district needs to get a lot more creative if the state is going to continue to not support these little towns.
Ludwig Haber, 1 Olivia. Just wanted for clarification, right? Voting yes on what we're about to vote on does fully fund the budget as soon as the override passes. So please, 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 FinCom and Select Board are obviously not in agreement exactly how that's supposed to happen, but we are very much in favor of the school budget. The district has done an excellent job at trying to drive down costs. They were very innovative on their healthcare costs, which drove down their expenditures. That's something that we're looking at now, right? We're following their lead to help reduce expenditures. There is innovation happening in trying to get the budget down, but right now, per pupil, this district is spending in the bottom third per student. And the results, given that limitation, are amazing. So please support the school budget.
Carol Benoit, Turkey Hill Road. I'm going to dissent a little bit, and this is by staying here, not there. By passing the school budget, we're artificially telling the state that we can afford this. So by not passing the school budget, we're also making a stand saying, you need to start listening to us because we're in trouble here. And we also have a colleague or a peer here, so Paxton, I believe, has not passed the school budget, and we could be the second one. And I'm saying it's not the school, it's the message that we need to send. And I think, again, by artificially pretending that we have the money is wrong. Thank you.
Louis Carniccioli, 18 Blueberry Lane. Former teacher at Wachusett Regional for 20 years, okay? My son is the principal of your middle school here in town. I grew up in education. I believe in education. And we're this pitting, and we think that the state is going to bail us out. We are hurting kids, not the employees. You're hurting kids. Because if you lay teachers off, they may find a job somewhere else. But when the classrooms get big, when the classrooms are large, when you have to cut programs, who gets hurt? Not the teachers, not the instructional assistants, not the administrators. It's the kids that get hurt, okay? And so I think we're being very foolish when we want to start to think about making these cuts. You only go through school once. Unless you're not a good student, you have to repeat the 7th grade. But you only go through once. This is a one-shot deal. And we can't be hurting these kids. The teachers, most of the teachers aren't going to lose jobs. Most of the principals are not going to lose jobs. The losers in this situation are the kids. So you look in your kid's eyes, or the kid in your neighborhood, you look in his eyes if you vote against budgets, school budgets, and say, I really had your best interests at heart, because I don't think you did.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
Randy, I would like to, when
After her, you go.
Linden Hill Cars, Birchwood Road. I'm not in favor of this school budget. I'm not going to ever be in favor of this school budget. Every year the budget goes up and the amount of children that attend this district go down. We have to look at what's going on with the administration of this district. You are overloaded at the top. The teachers are right where they need to be. I don't agree with across-the-board pay raises for the administration of this school district. And I agree with the woman who just spoke. If we vote no, they'll learn to do something different with their budget.
Mr. Ross?
I just want to make everything clear. The Finance Committee would like everybody to vote for the override. This is if the override fails. That's all. We don't want to affect the town drastically if the override does not pass. That's the Finance Committee's position. I know Mr. Carniccioli is very knowledgeable, but he didn't speak to what we're saying. What we're saying is pass the override, but if it fails, we're not going to hurt the town services further, period. That's it.
Okay, good, good. And I support that.
Hey, unless you recognize, I prefer.
Thank you.
Natalie Morrison, 15 Brunel Drive.
Natalie Morrison, 15 Brunel Drive. I just wanted to point out that if we can't pass the school budget and it has to go back to the school committee and then we come back to town, we have to have another town meeting, we have to vote on it. The end result could be that the state gives us, like they're not going to decide, they're going to decide for us. They'll basically come in, take over, and we'll get the same increase that we got last year instead of like, we'll get the same amount that we got last year instead of getting the increase that we normally get from the state every year. So there is a system for if this fails, it doesn't teach a lesson. It completely screws over the schools for the year and uses children as fodder to make the state look bad when we should be using our voices to go tell the state that this funding formula is absolutely broken right now.
Hi, Sheila Dibb, 209 Palmagussit Road. I'd like it, unfortunately, noted for the record that I think it's very inappropriate that the voters tonight don't have access to the motions document. This is the second very complex motion we have all had to listen to, and no one can read it up on the screen. No one has it in paper. I can't find it online, including in previous meeting packets. This should have been available to the voters so that they could make an informed decision, and it's very hard when all they do is listen to the person reading the motion. That was number one. Number two, I don't think it's been made clear that if we simply fail Article 7 right now, either way, either through the amendment that just failed or the current motion on the table, that we have failed the school budget, and the school budget will have failed because Paxton failed it. If we pass Article 7 tonight with the way we are currently reading it, and we don't pass the override, we will also have failed the school budget. That is what I believe Mr. Ross is trying to tell you, and I don't know that that is coming across. That was number two. Number three, it is incredibly disheartening to continue to hear after this long how many residents think that this school district and the money that they spend per capita per student is the problem. They're not. We know it. We see it in every single document, in every single bit of information we have. We have some of the lowest expenditures in the state. The problem is the formula. We all know it's the formula. So to have just heard two people say, let's teach them a lesson and send a message, well, the lesson we're teaching is to the kids who are going to be in school in the fall. Because I can tell you right now, it's not the State House that's going to get that message. So I guess since the amendment failed, I hope everyone not just passes Article 7 tonight, but goes to the ballot on Monday and votes for the override that every single person at the top table, perhaps less one, is in favor of.
Alex Moore, 3 Pioneer Circle. I'm 21 years old. When I was around third to fourth grade, I went here at the school in Glenwood. I don't have the best memories, but I do have good memories of it. I have bad memories of it. And into high school, where I went to Holden, I have good memories and bad memories. But either way, I see it is, including the things I've heard, it is incredibly, like I said before, disheartening to hear that people are so apathetic towards children. These are the future of your families, these are the future of your cities, your towns, the places you will be. If you do not care for them, they will not care for you. So all I have to say in the nicest way possible is go ahead, and if you don't vote for your schools, you're not going to send a message to the state, you're going to send a message to the shot you just sent to your foot. Thank you.
Jean Sigliano, 27 Susie Drive. I think we've heard a lot from both sides, and I move the question.
Motion made and seconded. Now we're going to vote on voting on to move the question. If you vote favorably to move the question, that means ends debate, and we go right to a vote. If you vote no, then you'll allow more discussion on the matter. All those in favor of ending discussion? All those in favor, use your green button. All those opposed, use the red button. And this is a 2/3 vote on moving the question.
Oh, this thing, I like to throw it away.
I know, it's more complicated, he's right. I know, I don't get that.
All those voted to wish?
Now you're in real trouble.
All those in favor, all those done voting? Declare the ballot box closed. 338 yeses, 22 noes. gonna go vote on the original motion that was read by the finance board over here. All those in favor of that motion, use your green button. All those opposed, use your red button and the arrows.
Use your arrow.
It works.
I don't know anything.
Thank you. It works.
Next time, it slipped out of your hand.
It flew right on my hand. I didn't throw it. It flew right out of my hand.
It just,
If it was
All those voted who wish.
they're still trying.
It's very little instrument.
Because you haven't got it okay or you haven't decided to push the button. You're not getting it okay? Go see.
No on these, the okays don't go through as fast as when you vote yes.
Wow.
Can't answer that.
It's very little son of a gun.
Have you got it okay?
I got it.
We got more votes than we had last time, so I'm going to say the majority of you voted. If you question it, go out and ask the ladies at the table and get a new one. Oh, I declare the ballot box closed. 242 yeses, 113 no.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Good.
Let's deal with it at the ballot.
Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer funds and receipt and revenue of the water and sewer enterprise or from any other available funds the sum of $3,301,710 to operate the water and sewer department for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, or set forth.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 8 as printed in the warrant.
Good one.
Motion receives support.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 8.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Mr. Canacchioli, if you break another one, you're going home.
I know. Yeah, thank you. I should.
All those opposed, please use your green buttons for yes. All those opposed, red buttons, and your arrow, please.
I get an okay right away, so.
It works.
Weird.
It's a miracle. It works better since I broke it.
Since it slipped out of your hand.
It slipped right out of my hand. You know what it is, Downey? I don't have a tough hand like this. I had a pansy job. You know what I mean? I wasn't picking jobs.
Stop. You're getting yourself in trouble.
All those voted who wish. Clear the ballot box. Closed. Motion carries 273 yes, 41 no. Moving on to Article 9, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $175,000 from the water and sewer retained earnings for the purchase, equipping, and installation of replacement water sewer meter, including all incidental and related expenses, or take any action thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 9 as printed in the warrant.
Does this article receive support?
Second.
Recommendation of finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 8.
Is there any discussion on this article?
9.
Nine. Tommy, 9. Is there any discussion on Article 9? Is there any discussion on Article 9? Is there any other discussion on Article 9? Hearing none, all those in favor use your green buttons. All those opposed use your red buttons and the arrow. People that are choosing to leave, please pass in your transponders out there to the folks, please.
Yeah.
probably lost 100 people already. Hey, Sherry, we probably lost 100 people. They're still piling out.
All those voting who wish, declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries, 249 yes, 48 no's. Moving on to Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from receipts and revenues of the stormwater enterprise or any other available funds the sum of $437,602 to operate the stormwater utilities for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, as set forth below. Or take any actions in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 10 as printed in the warrant.
Does this receive support?
Second.
Recommendation of Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 10.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons and the arrow. Please vote. All those voted who wish, clear the ballot box. Close. 233 yeses, 52 noes. Motion carries. Moving on to Article 11, see if the town will vote to transfer from receipts and revenues of the PEG Access Cable Fund for the sum of $129,220 to the fund of PEG Access Cable related to operations for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 11 as printed in the warrant.
Recommendation, please.
Second.
Second first.
Recommendation of the Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 11.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on the article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, please use your green buttons and your red buttons and the arrow, please.
I'm almost there. I have next year, so I'm almost there. No, it's there.
All those voted who wish.
It just doesn't sound this good. It's apple one.
Clear the ballot box closed. 216 yeses, 48 noes. Motion carries. Moving on to Article 12, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into contracts for the goods and service with the duration in the X of 3 years pursuant to the provisions of MGL Section 30B SS 12B, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve the article as printed in the warrant.
Does this motion receive support? Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 12.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, red buttons, and the arrow, please.
Okay, that one well. We don't have.
7.
I'm still teaching.
Because it's the numbers wrong.
The public school teacher.
All those voted who wish,
Pastures and Maria.
clear ballot box closed. 224 yeses, 37 no. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to apply for, accept, and expend any grants or donations from the state or federal government or private agencies, individuals, or institutions, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 13 as printed in the warrant.
Does this motion receive support? Recommendation of Finance.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 13.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, please use your green buttons and your red buttons and your arrows.
He's on a roll now. Did you invite your wife to the Christmas club? What was her answer?
All those voting who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 254 yeses, 17 noes. Moving on to Article 14, to see if the town will vote to appropriate all funds which become available from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Highways in the fiscal year 2027, Chapter 90, bond issue proceeds or other grant program funds to be used in the Department of Public Works for the repair and maintenance of town roads in conformance with the Massachusetts general law, and further the town vote to raise and appropriate by borrowing, and to authorize the town treasurer with the approval of the select board to issue bonds or notes of the town, therefore anticipation of receipts of the state aid or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 14 as printed in the warrant.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 14.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, your red buttons and the arrow, please. All those voted who wish. Number's quite a bit lower. A lot of people left, I guess. All those, I declare the ballot box closed. 221 yeses, 10 noes. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to pursue to the provisions of MGL Section 44, subsection 53E and a half to establish the fiscal year 2027 spending limits for the certain of the revolving funds listed in Section 6 of the bylaw of the same name as set forth below, with such expenditures limits to be applicable for each fiscal year until such time as a town meeting vote prior to July 1 in any year to change the expenditures limited for the ensuing fiscal year, provided, however, that at the request of the entity authorized to expend such funds, the select board, with the approval of the Finance Committee, may increase such limits for the fiscal year only, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 15 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of the Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 15.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Seeing none, all those in favor, please use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons and the arrow, please. All those voting wish. Declare the ballot box closed. 27 noes. Motion carries. Moving on to Article 16, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money to the funds, the deficit of the snow and ice removal account for the fiscal year, or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I vote that the town vote to approve Article 16 as printed in the warrant with the sum of $49,360 to be transferred from free cash.
Does this motion receive support? Recommendation of Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 16.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, please use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons and your arrow. All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries, 244 yeses, 12 noes. Moving on to Article 20, I'd like to say 27. Louis was my teacher, don't hold it against me. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $309,000, in the sum, in the amount and for the purpose showed below in the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 to purchase and equip capital equipment, buildings, facilities, and other projects including as applicable site preparation, demolition, and all incidental and related expenses or take action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 17 as printed in the warrant, except that the total sum appropriated shall be $308,200.
Does this motion receive support? Recommendation of Finance, please.
Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 17.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article?
Joe Becker, Crestview Drive. Just a question. In the explanation, it states that this is $309,000 of the $461,000 in the capital stabilization fund. But if I look at the beginning of the booklet, which shows various balances, that balance shows as $365,436. So which is the right one?
Not the one in the explanation. The one that's in your chart. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion in this article? Hearing none, it is time to vote. This is a simple majority, even though it is misprinted and says 2/3. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons and your arrow. This is a simple majority. All those voting who wish, let the ballot box closed. Motion carries 199 yes, 45 noes. Moving on to Article 18, to see if the town will vote to borrow the sum of $575,000 for the purpose shown in the below for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 to purchase, capital equipment, buildings, facilities, and/or projects including as applicable site preparation, demolition, and all other incidental and related expenses or take action thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $575,000 to fund the capital projects or purchase and equip capital items, all as printed and in the amounts listed in Article 18 of the warrant, including applicable site preparation, demolition, and and all incidental and related expenses, and to meet this appropriation, the town treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow the sum under general law 47/7/8 or any other enabling authority to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore, and further, the select board to appropriate. Town officers are authorized to enter into all agreements, execute any and all instruments, and to take all actions necessary or appropriate to effectuate the foregoing 49,360.
Does this motion receive support? Motion made and second. Recommendation of the Finance Board, please.
Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 18.
Is there any discussion on this article?
Alex Moss, Brittenell Drive. I'd like to make a motion that we vote on these three things individually, please.
Second.
Motion, an amendment has been made to vote on these individually. Is there any discussion on that? Did we get a second on that?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on this article? Amendment?
Yes, I am absolutely in favor of the pool. Recreation funds itself, it provides something to do for free pass for seniors to the pool. It's something for families, there's swim lessons, there's employment opportunities. But this front end loader I cannot pass. I have done a little bit of digging. It's a 1995 L70C, I believe, a Volvo machine, which if you look around are supposed to be very dependable. They're praised for their reliable mechanics. Think no computers, so easy to fix. And the idea that parts are hard to come by, I find laughable. Additionally, the DPW currently has a 1995 model, a 2005 model, a 2015 model, and now they're asking for a 2026 model so that they can retire the 1995 that still can run. So I ask that that one be voted down, please. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment that this gentleman just made? It's called a procedural motion to essentially bring it up.
This is the amendment he just spoke to.
That is correct.
Louis Carniccioli, 18 Blueberry Lane. I moved to Rutland in 1973. 1973. Been here a long time. Served on a number of boards. Probably the one department of all of our departments, but the one that was announced. The one department that has been just outstanding in terms of it being frugal and not overspending is the DPW department. And I take I have pause here that if they're requesting something, in my time, in the 9 years I was a selectman, you know, they did a great job of keeping expenditures down. I would support whatever material the DPW needs. They're the ones that keep our streets open in the winter, keep everything passable. I think they do an outstanding job. In the 50-plus years I've been in this town, probably one of the better departments in our whole town is that DPW. I would vote against this amendment. Thank you.
Peter Cook, 214 Palmagussit Road. I've been a professional musician since 1987, and can someone explain to me why a bi-directional amplifier costs $100,000? I can outfit Worcester Auditorium for half that, by far. Or am I misunderstanding what this is?
Franklin, Deputy Fire Chief. So what a bidirectional amplifier is, it allows us to communicate. So this school is a type 2 construction, meaning it's made of concrete and steel. So in the event of an emergency active shooter in these buildings, we have no way of communicating because our radios don't transmit. So what the BDA does, it allows us to talk, communicate with our dispatch, to get resources here. Yes, it's $100,000. It's not a cheap piece of equipment, I understand this, but it is a public safety matter. We need to.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment, please?
Yes, concerning the front end loader.
Speak a little louder, please. Yep.
Rachel Dolan, Ware Road. Concerning the front end loader for the DPW, I recall several pieces of equipment that literally blew up and caught on fire before we would replace it. This is 20 years old. I don't know if you recall the 2013 ice storm where our DPW was out for 18-hour shifts. How do you like to be out there with a truck that barely functions? You think it's hard to get employees for this town now? All I know is the number one priority is you need to be able to get out of your house. If you can't get an ambulance, you got to be able to get your person in your car and drive them to the hospital yourself. Well, guess what? If your road isn't plowed, you're not going anywhere. So yes, I do support, because I know the DPW over the past 40 years I've been here has never asked for anything that they don't actually need. Thank you.
So can we talk on the amendment about more or less breaking it up only, please? Just a few minutes.
So Christie's in front of 29 Turkey Hill Trail. On your amplifiers, you guys stated that it's at Glenwood Elementary School. So does that mean that NAQUAG is going to need one in the future as well?
Right now, there isn't a recommendation made by directional amplifier at NAQUAG. What the district did is we meet typically once a month with the chief's fire department and also the police. And one of the things we identified is that in an emergency, it's important for our first responders to have adequate communication with each other. And so we had an analysis done of all of our schools, and right now our recommendation in the town of Rutland is that Glenwood receive this upgrade. These are pieces of equipment that are actually built in, like if a school is built today, they're required to be part of the school structure, and so we have some schools that don't have them, most of ours don't. I would say Glenwood is a priority for the district. We are also adding one, hopefully if the budget passes, at the high school this year. So no one may qualify. Or Central Tree, because they both have adequate communication.
So I'm going to restate what I talked about earlier. Can we only talk about the procedural motion that was there, please?
My only question is why isn't the school paying for the amplifiers since we just voted on their budget? Why isn't that in there?
But no disrespect, but do we want to vote on these individually or together, please?
Yes.
So I'll wait and answer that in a minute, please.
I think we've heard great arguments for all three of those things. So I see no reason why we shouldn't vote for the amendment, vote against the amendment that was set forth.
If I may, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to point out that all of these projects have been through our Capital Improvement Planning Committee, and highly vetted, and they're making favorable recommendations on all three of these projects as well. I don't know that any CIPC representation had an opportunity to speak for their recommendation.
Lindsay Moss, Brittenell Drive. I move that we make a vote on the amendment.
So I believe she wanted to move the question. We have a second. Oh, are we ready to go? So we're going to vote on moving the question to end debate. What? So we're going to vote right now on ending debate. That's all you're voting on the procedural motion. If you're in favor of stopping talking about whether we're going to break it out into three pieces or not, vote yes. If you're not, then vote red no, please. And the arrow. And this is 2/3 as well. Please, as it was before. tell you that. I'm just checking Roger to make sure he hasn't fallen asleep. All those voted wish, I declare the ballot box closed. 233 yeses, 20 noes. So we've moved the question. Now, we're going to vote on the procedural motion, what Alex made there. And if you vote yes, if you support, if you want to vote the three items separately, vote yes. And if we go one by one, and then we'll go one by one. If you want to vote the three items as a block, vote no. Do we understand that? And it's simple majority on this. All those in favor of the procedural motion, use your green buttons. If you're opposed, use your red buttons and the arrow. Wait a minute. Hold. We're not ready yet. He's working on it. Green light to vote. All those voted who want? Declare the ballot box closed. Motion is defeated. 163 noes, 88 yeses. So that means we're going to go back to the original motion, and you can. Main motion is still on the floor. Your blocking it in three was defeated. Is there any discussion on the original motion? So if you want to talk about the front end loader, or the amplifiers, or the retiling of the beach, or the pool, we can. If not, we can go. Oh, here comes the plow operator. Please hold.
Chris Golowski, Maple Ave, Rutland. I'm also the Director of the Public Works. Just so you know, the loader we're going to replace is 30 years old. It has 13,500 hours on it. Every year, it's been a backup. It loads trucks during the storms while the other two loaders are working constantly. They get to be 20 years old, it becomes the backup. They're very hard to get parts for a 30-year-old machine. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Are you going to talk about the plow?
No, I was just going to answer the question from our Jim Riley superintendent. Any project that costs more than $35,000 by the regional agreement is paid for by the town and not the district. So that's why it's a project.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
I just wanted to talk about this, the directional amplification thing. With all the school shootings around this country, if our emergency services can't get in touch with this school because they don't have one of these, they need one of these.
Is there any other discussion on this article?
Ask again why this was not in the school's budget since it belongs to the school.
Just answered the question. I believe he just answered that. If it's greater than $35,000, it falls back under the school. He just said that.
The town pays the school budget. But the town pays the school budget, so why wasn't this, if it's a school article or need, put in the school budget? Why is this separate for everything else?
I can address that.
It's a town obligation under the regional agreement that anything over $35,000, the town pays for. We own this building. The school leases it from us. That's all. We own the building. If you don't agree with the $35,000, that's a different subject. but the 35 number has been there for a long time, can't change unless we change the regional agreement. The superintendent has done nothing wrong, he's not disguising anything at all. This is above board. That's all I can say to this. It doesn't, the school can't pay for this because it's over 35,000, period.
So in the school budget, maintaining the school does not exist?
$35,000.
Each child is only 11,000.
It's this way. Ma'am. It's a capital improvement that is greater than $35,000. Therefore, it's the responsibility of the town.
So is educating our children and spending money on the school budget, which is all we're saying. I'm sorry. So is educating our children, providing meals, and providing everything else. And some of those are not 35, are less than 35,000, and they're wrapped into the school budget. So why are we nickel and diming the school budget once again?
I believe the question was answered. Is there another question?
To clarify, sorry, Natalie Morrison, 15 Brunel Drive. I'm also a school committee member and on the subcommittee that worked with the bidirectional amplifiers and figured out what to propose to the town. This was the #1 capital improvement that we recommended for Rutland, and it is absolutely necessary. It has the potential to save a lot of lives if it ever came down to needing it.
Sean Rainford, 196 Campbell Street. I move to end discussion on this article.
Motion has been made to move the question and seconded. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons. This is 2/3. Was there a second? Yes, there was a second. You can vote if you'd like to. All those voters who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 242 yeses, 9 noes. Now we're going to vote on the article as a block. This is a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red button and your arrow, please. All those voters who wish, declare the ballot box closed. Motion carries 209 yes, 31 noes. Moving on to Article 19, to see if the town will vote to transfer the remaining balance of the sums previously appropriated in the combined sum of $94,766.52 and set forth which the sums are no longer needed for such purposes or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 19 as printed in the warrant.
Recommendation of the Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 19.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor use your green buttons, all those opposed use your red buttons and the arrow, please. All those voters who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 210 yes, 11 noes, motion carries. Moving on to Article 20, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a lease purchasing finance agreement pursuant of General Law, Section 44, subsection 21E, for the acquisition and equipping of the command vehicle for the use by the fire department, including all incidental and related expenses for the term not to exceed 6 years, for the useful life of said equipment as determined by the select board, and provided further that the select board has voted to use the sum of $18,000 from the Medical Center of Central Mass Trust Account 290-2200-5700-00-2985 for the first year lease payment or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 20 as printed in the warrant.
Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 20.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Hearing none, all those in favor, please use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons, and it is 2/3. All those voted who wish, declare the ballot box closed. 192 yeses, 24 noes. 2/3 passed. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of $11,975.35 previously appropriated in Article 16 of the May 12, 2018 annual town meeting to fund engineering, site studies, marketing, legal, and other work to prepare Rutland Heights for the site demolition and development, which funds are no longer needed for which purposes of the Rutland Development and Industrial Commission to landscape and clear Rutland Heights Hospital property located at 86 Maple Ave for the future development and public use, including all incidental and related expenses, or take any action in relation thereto. I would like to declare that I am a member of the RDIC currently, but I don't feel that I need to step down on this particular article.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to pass over Article 21.
Is there a second? Is there a recommendation of the finance?
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends no action taken on Article 21.
The select board, please.
Mr. Moderator, the select board recommends no action on Article 21.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any?
Delaney Moore, 3 Edson Ave. I personally disapprove of the development proposed for the Rutland Heights. I have lived here for all my 19 years, and I have learned that the environment that we live in directly depends on our decisions. I have observed that the Rutland Heights is one of the most biodiverse ecosystems I have rarely witnessed anywhere else in this town. The land is home to crucial native plants and animals that we as humans can appreciate being a part of our town. Some of the species I've observed living there in the area include the monarch butterfly and the milkweed their offspring depend on, birds of prey like the great horned owl, migrating warblers and woodland birds that raise their young there, beneficial insects that hunt the pests eating our crops, native bees, and so much more. If we push further development in the area, we are sealing the fate of the animals that call the area home. By taking away their already declining available habitat, let me repeat. If we push further in development in the area, we are already sealing the fate of the animals that call the area home by taking away their already declining available habitat, looting their homes, and removing the biodiversity we inevitably depend on.
Not only will this harm the species I have listed, but thousands of others we don't see. Once they are gone, we will feel their absence. I've already noticed the decline of some of the species in the area caused by littering and runoff pollution, and it is devastating to see the consequences every time I wander the area. It broke my heart to see run over migrating salamanders and frogs on a new pavement that wasn't there when I was younger. I haven't seen killdeer nests in years because of the ongoing construction. I miss seeing some of the animals I cannot regularly find in my backyard. I want to continue to see the wild, natural beauty of that part of our town. Thank you.
Narwhal, 149 Palmagussit, and Chairman of the RDIC. We would like to recommend to the town no action on this because what we'd like to do is leave that $11,975 in the 2018 article that we had, which allows us to use it for engineering, surveys, and also for any commercial, because we're intending on putting an RFP out, and hopefully we'll be having some property sold in the Rutland Heights within the next year or so. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion?
Hi, Tressa Santillo, 124 Toronto Road. I just want to be clear on what we're voting on because I think the original motion was pass over, which means what exactly?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, a motion to pass over means take no action.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion? Just to be clear what you're voting on. If you vote yes, taking no action on it. If you vote no, yes, we're going to take action. All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons. And your arrow, please. Simple majority. All those voting to wish? We have a ballot box closed. 192 yes, 22 no, motion carries. Moving on to Article 22. To see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of MGL Section 40, subsection 8J, to authorize the establishment of the Commission on Disability consisting for not fewer than 5 nor more than 13 members appointed in accordance with the statute, with the majority of the members being the persons with disability, one member being an immediate family member of the person with disabilities, and one member being an elected or appointed town official or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 22 as printed in the warrant.
Recommendation of the Finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 22.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion on this article? All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons. And the arrow, please. All those voted to wish? The ballot box closed. Motion carries 202 yeses, 14 noes. Moving on to Article 23, to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Rutland general bylaws by adopting a floodplain management bylaw as on file with the town clerk in ordinance to comply with the Federal Emergency Management FEMA requirements for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program and to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the inhabitation of the town by regulating development in flood hazard areas or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 23 as printed in the warrant, add the new floodplain management bylaw as Article 5 of Chapter 7 of the general bylaws, and update the general bylaws table of contents accordingly.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance, please.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends favorable action on Article 23.
Is there any discussion on this article? Is there any discussion?
The Bylaw Committee recommends favorable action on this article.
Is there any other recommendations? Is there any other discussion?
Melissa Danza, 9 Cameron Drive. I'm the chair of the Conservation Commission. Just a quick background on why we're doing this. So last year, FEMA updated their floodplain maps, which hadn't been updated since about the 70s. Because of that, the federal requirements are more strict than the state, and a very rare occurrence in Massachusetts. So we have to accept this bylaw for homes that have a federally backed mortgage that are in a floodplain region, so that they can be part of the National Flood Insurance Program. It's a much more cost-effective program. We were ever caught in a situation where the town did come into a flood where FEMA had to come in. If we don't have this bylaw, FEMA will not help us. So these are to help those residents make sure that they are covered, they're compliant with their mortgage, and it has no different impact on the town in terms of process, except having a formalized process if elevations change, and to realize who is responsible and who to contact in town.
Is there any discussion on this article?
George Kuritzin, 212 East County Road. I just want clarification. The article reads that it's a general bylaw addition, but the explanation says it's a zoning bylaw, which will change. I just want to make sure it's general or zoning. Okay, thank you.
General, she said. Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? All those in favor, use your green buttons. All those opposed, use your red buttons. And the arrow, please. All those voted wish. Declare the ballot box closed. 201 yeses, 11 noes, motion carries. Moving on to Article 24. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to file with the general court a home rule petition to adopt the town charter as filed with the town clerk, provided, however, that the general court may take action of the form only to the bill without the approval of the select board, and authorize the select board to approve such changes as are within the public purpose of the petition or take any action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town pass over Article 24.
Motion made and seconded. Recommendation of the finance.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends no action on Article 24.
Yes.
Mr. Moderator, the Select Board recommends no action on Article 24.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there?
Michelle Campbell, Freelord Lane. I was looking for a chair of the Charter Committee, and the Charter Committee also agrees to pass over this discussion. We're not yet ready to have it on the warrant.
Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on this article? Is there any other discussion on the final article? Hearing none. All those in favor, please vote with your green buttons or your red buttons and your arrow, please. All those voted wish, declare the ballot box closed. 175 yes, 20 noes, motion carries. It is my responsibility as town moderator to appoint there are 2 seats up on the finance board this year, and it is Mr. Ross is up this year, and Karen Norwell is up this year. It is my duly responsibility to appoint Karen Ross, has agreed to go back onto the finance board. And also, we have a new member that's sitting over in the front row patiently waiting to join into this great fun. Her name is Brianna. Brianna, right? The nice lady in the front row. And Karen has chose to retire, and we'd like to thank Karen for a number of years of service. I'd like to thank the chairman of the Board of Selectmen that has not choose to go forward as well. Good job. I'd like to encourage everybody to consider going out to vote on Monday to the polls, and they're open from 7 a.m. Mr. Canacchioli. I thank you. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Go out and vote. You're going to vote on some elected positions as well as the override. So please get out and do your duly obligation. And I would entertain a motion for Mr. Canacchioli to move to adjourn. All those in favor? Oh, wait a minute.
The proper motion is, Mr. Moderator, I make the motion to adjourn and/or dissolve the town meeting.